It was June 5th, 1998, in the quiet Spanish town of Cazorla. The long-awaited candidates' final between Vladimir Kramnik and Alexei Shirov had just concluded. The winner would earn the right to challenge Garry Kasparov for his version of the World Chess Championship, a match planned later. Against all odds, it was Shirov who triumphed, and not just by a narrow margin. He won convincingly. Later in his autobiography, Shirov would recall this as the absolute peak of his career. His form was so dazzling that he even managed to defeat Kramnik with the black pieces in a Grunfeld defense, something no one had done to Kramnik up to that point. It was a performance that announced Shirov as a true world-class contender, ready to face Kasparov himself. But little did Shirov know that a nasty twist of fate was coming his way. Let's uncover what happened next, and how it led to one of the most controversial and trend-setting matches ever played, the World Championship of 2000. Back in 1995, Garry Kasparov defended his PCA World Championship title against Viswanathan Anand in New York. This title was separate from the FIDE World Championship, creating two parallel crowns in chess. The PCA match was heavily backed by Intel, but soon after, Intel withdrew its sponsorship. Rumors spread that Intel pulled out because Kasparov was preparing for his highly publicized match against IBM's supercomputer Deep Blue, though Kasparov himself denied that connection. With Intel gone, the PCA lost its financial backbone and eventually dissolved. Still, Kasparov was determined to keep his world championship alive. But without sponsors, he couldn't organize a proper candidate cycle to determine a challenger. By 1998, he announced that, based on the FIDE rating list, the top two players after him, Viswanathan Anand and Vladimir Kramnik, should play a match to decide who would challenge him for the title. But there was a problem. Anand was already under contract to play in FIDE's new and controversial Knockout World Championship cycle. He couldn't commit to Kasparov's PCA-style cycle. If you want the full story of Anand's 1998 saga, I've made a separate video on that match, which was even more controversial. Link is in the description. So with Anand declining, Kasparov turned to the next player on the rating list, Alexei Shirov. And Shirov was no outsider. In fact, he was in a good form. The Kasparov-approved candidates match between Kramnik and Shirov was scheduled in Cazorla, Spain in May 1998. Against expectations, it was Shirov who dominated. He defeated Kramnik convincingly. By right, Shirov had earned the title of Kasparov's challenger. But that's when the trouble began. After the match, negotiations started for the Kasparov-Shirov World Championship. A sponsorship deal even emerged for a potential match in California. But contractual disputes arose. Shirov felt the terms were unfair and rejected the offer. What he thought was a negotiating stance turned into a big mistake. After Shirov rejected the California offer, the talks for a Kasparov-Shirov World Championship slipped into complete uncertainty. Rumors quickly spread in the chess world. Shirov's victory had been an unpleasant surprise for Kasparov. Many speculated that Kasparov had really wanted a challenger like Anand or Kramnik, players seen as stronger, more marketable, and with greater sponsor appeal. In February 1999, he abruptly abandoned the match talks altogether. For Shirov, it was devastating. He had done everything required of him, won the candidates' match fair and square, only to watch the promised title shot evaporate. But without backing, he was powerless. Kasparov then turned his attention once again to Viswanathan Anand, who had enjoyed 2 brilliant years in 1998 and 1999. Multiple negotiation attempts followed, but Anand was dissatisfied with the terms and could not reach an agreement with Kasparov. Talks collapsed once more. Running out of options, Kasparov finally turned to Vladimir Kramnik, the man Shirov had convincingly defeated in Kazorla. This time, the pieces fell into place. A new company, Brain Games, was created to finance the event, and a Kasparov-Kramnik World Championship match was scheduled for October 2000 in London. Kasparov's supporter would say that the winner of this match would be the rightful champion, emphasizing that Shirov's head-to-head with Kasparov was abysmal, and that match itself would not have been interesting. Kasparov was a heavy favorite in the match, with a peak rating of 2,849, was considered virtually untouchable. He was at the height of his powers, and most experts believed Kramnik stood little chance. But what followed shocked the chess world. From the very first game, Kramnik revealed a brilliant match strategy. Against Kasparov's trusted Ruy Lopez, he unveiled a weapon that was almost forgotten at elite level, the Berlin defense. In Game 1, it held Kasparov to a draw, and the message was clear. Kramnik had come with a precise plan. With black, he would rely on the impenetrable Berlin Wall to neutralize Kasparov. With white, he would press for wins. The strategy worked to perfection. Kasparov tried everything, 1c4, 1d4, but each time he was unable to break through. Meanwhile, Kramnik struck with white, winning Game 2 and later Game 10. And so the unimaginable happened. Vladimir Kramnik defeated Garry Kasparov, not in a tournament, but in a world championship match. He became the first player ever to dethrone Kasparov in a title match, ushering in a new era of chess. In the aftermath of London 2000, the Berlin defense experienced a surge. Once considered an obscure and almost forgotten line, it suddenly became the hottest weapon at the top level. Practically every elite grandmaster adopted it. Even Kasparov himself, who had suffered so badly against it, began to use the Berlin in his own games. Soon it was a staple in the repertoires of legends like Anand, Leko, and Evanchuk. In the modern era, stars such as Carlsen, Caruana, and Nakamura have all relied on the Berlin at the very highest stages, including world championship matches. The 2000 Kasparov-Kramnik encounter was truly a trendsetter, revolutionizing how players approach the Ruy Lopez. To this day, the Berlin is regarded as one of the most solid defensive systems in chess, a go-to weapon when black needs a reliable draw. But while the Berlin soared, Alexei Shirov's story faded into tragedy. After being denied his rightful world championship match, he never again received another chance to fight for the crown. The cruelest irony came in 2006, when Kramnik won the unified world championship match against Topalov. Shirov, still bitter from his treatment years earlier, declared that Kramnik was not the legitimate champion, a reminder of the wound that had never healed. For Shirov, 1998 should have been the gateway to immortality. Instead, history remembers him as the man who won the match and lost everything. And for chess, the echoes of that injustice still linger. A cautionary tale of how politics, sponsorship, and circumstance can shape destiny just as much as moves on the board.